Tell him it's the witching hour, Steve.
We can start now.
It's the witching hour.
Make sure we're legitimate. Important business outside.
That's right, that's right. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. We will start our fiscal court meeting for October 24th. Welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. Whether you're on the agenda or you're just here to observe, we appreciate you being here today. And I will give the invocation. Y'all will bow. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for those that are here today. We just pray blessings upon each and every one that is in the room and that is in the hall, dear Lord. And we just we pray for those, Father, that have lost loved ones this week, and we especially pray for Director Rogers and the loss of his sister. And may they just find peace and comfort, dear Lord, that only can come from you. We thank you for the ways that you lead us in our communities, and we just pray that you would continue to help us to make good decisions collectively as a court and individually in our assigned roles within the county government. And just pray that you would help us to work together and to see things with a clear mind and to serve our constituents with a clear heart. Just pray now, dear Lord, that you would conduct this meeting in the way that you would have it to go. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. If you all will stand, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, we have two sets of minutes. We have September 26th and October the 10th. We can approve them individually or together.
I move that we agree to them together.
Together, okay. Is that a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right. Magistrate Bodner, okay. Motion by Magistrate Ellis, second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Now we have our bills. Ms. Elena.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, this meeting's amount of bills to be paid is $476,305.68, and there are no last minute payments.
Awesome.
Shout. Always good.
Motion to approve the bills. Magistrate Sleeper, a second.
Second.
Magistrate Harmon. Any discussion on the bills? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Bills are approved. Thank you.
Scott.
Next, we have our budget transfers. Ms. Scarlett.
Okay, budget transfers. Budget transfers I have from general fund and also one from the public works fund. So, general fund totals $18,204.96. Public Works, $1,551.23 for a grand total of $19,756.19.
Okay, motion to approve the budget transfers.
I'll make a motion.
Magistrate Bodner, is there a second?
Second.
Magistrate Harmon, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Cash transfers?
Yes. Just two. We have general fund to EMS, $200,000 for operations, and general fund to the fleet management fund for $10,000, totaling $210,000.
Okay, motion to approve cash transfers.
I'll make a motion.
Measure Bodner, second.
Second.
Measure Sleeper. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, would you like to do the budget ordinances as well?
I was gonna say, I didn't know if you wanted me to do
Sure,
this or if
yeah.
you.
This will be the
Okay.
second reading.
Okay, so yes, this is the second reading of, do you have 3 or 4? Okay. Got myself confused here. Okay, we've got, I'm gonna start at the end. 221.29.8 was prior year carryovers. that were being brought over, from last year. A few additions, a couple of subtractions. They total $1,734,044. 221.29.7 was election equipment. That was a reimbursement of $143,443. And that went into the general fund for new equipment for the election. 221.29.6, oh, that's already, never mind, sorry, excuse me, that one was completed, was that completed last time? No, okay. Okay, 221.29.6 had actually gone through originally a few weeks ago. We took it back through, and so now we're gonna do the second reading. It is County Road Aid Fund is $738,530.40. And 221.29.5 is for Occupational Tax Administration. This is something new that was recommended by the auditors. So I'm projecting $17,374,457, and that will go into the occupational tax fund.
Okay, so this is second reading of 5 ordinances relating to budget amendments. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Magistrate Bodnar, is there a second?
Second.
Magistrate Ellis, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. Jailer Wofford, I believe, is out in the hall, Master Sleeper.
Got that one on everything, and get it around.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've got washing machine bids and detention center agreement.
So the first one, the washing machine bids, I'd come and ask permission to bid those out, but come to find out the company that we really like, REM, has the state contract. So they're the ones that we use to work on the equipment to set our device that sets the amount of soap that goes in and keeps all that up, which works out good. So I'm asking the fiscal court to approve their bid price of $17,338.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Magistrate Ellis, a second by Magistrate Harmon. Any discussion?
When and how tough is the transition?
With them having the state contract, I think it'll be pretty quick. So I'm gonna go back today and tell Glenn to go ahead and order it.
Because you're living along right now, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, the one that we have is, I guess, you know, Barry and I talked about it, it's been there since they built the jail, and I mean, it's so bad it's leaking out of the top. I've never seen one do that, but.
Is this in the jail budget or the joint jail budget?
It's coming out of the restricted, it's a joint jail.
Joint jail.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
restricted funds that have been moved into the Boyle jail account
Okay,
so that they're held separate from the joint jail, because those have already been combined.
okay, just so we know which
Yeah,
side it's
so
coming
it's
out.
not actually coming out of a budget line item, it's coming out of the restricted money that's our savings account, basically.
Okay.
And we have a letter stating they're a sole provider. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Payment on delivery.
I'll know hopefully today, so when we go back, yeah, we'll.
Do you want to
they
include
do-
that in the motion?
They do POs.
Okay.
So we've been doing business with them for a long time, so
Sounds good to me.
I don't foresee any issues.
All right, so jail, detention center agreement and,
Hey, real quick, on that letter from REM, I think they need to be more specific. Like, it just says REM company is the factory authorized distributor for Unimac laundry equipment. I mean, it doesn't say we're the sole source of.
Okay, we
They
can,
could like,
You can
You
say
can read-
only.
yeah, cause they have the state contract or whatever, I think.
if you
on
could
it.
just
so
get a
it really
better.
doesn't matter because
No.
we have state
Oh,
contract.
okay.
Yeah,
You really don't because they're under state contract.
Okay.
so.
Well, good.
Better to question.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. All right,
So next is the,
detention center agreement.
so we've been working on a new agreement or a new contract or interlocal agreement, I should say, with Mercer County, the judge, Julie, myself, Magistrate Ellis, Magistrate Gay. So basically, I think we've got everything worked out except for the pricing. You know, Mercer has come back, and you know, they're wanting to be somewhere around $50 a day, but I don't know why, as a county, we would break even, because one, we're going to assume all the risk. So if there's any lawsuits or anything comes out of it, we're having to fund that. Two, you know, with the costs continue to go up. You know, payroll's the biggest. Healthcare, it's not going to get any cheaper. Food, it's not going to get any cheaper. So basically, and I kind of shared the math. You know, my budget's like $5.3 million. If you divide that by 365 days, that comes out to $14,000 change. And the number I use is 220 beds, because that's what we have. Now, you know, if you have more in there, then your cost per inmate goes down if you have less. So I think the reason I'm choosing 220 beds is because when somebody comes in to do a contract with us, whether it's medical or you know, or food preparation or whatever, they want to know how many beds. So they base your base price on 220 beds. Then they say, okay, it's this price. Then if you add 80 to 100 more inmates, it's going to be another price. So that's kind of the way they do it. So I think that using the 220 bed rule is a fair way to do that, because that's the way we negotiate our other contracts. So that puts us at $66 a day, but I think $65 a day is what we have in the contract. So basically, and Judge, you step in for me or correct me if I'm wrong, basically we're wanting to make sure that you all are okay with the presentation the way it is, and if you all, I guess, make a motion on, hey, here's the...
I don't see why we would be breaking even and then next year losing money. Like that's why I don't understand why, if they, I mean, this is and will be our jail. We take the risk. We have we have to pay extra money. Why are we taking a loss? If they want to be a customer of ours, this is the rate. We set the rate, that's it. I honestly think it should probably be about $72 a day. That will help with, and they're only paying that $72 if they have an inmate there, correct?
Well, in the contract, I had them to do a minimum of 20 beds.
That's fine.
Which they normally are around 35,
Correct.
but if they drop below 20, they still have to pay for 20 beds. And the reason I did that is we have to show revenue coming in, especially when we go do our bonding. So that way we can show, hey, we have some revenue coming in, so.
Well, and if we're reserving those beds for them.
Correct.
Correct.
So we cannot, you know, say, oh, we've got these extra beds. They're Mercer's beds.
Correct.
Right.
So that's the luxury they get for being with us, or they have to go find a different jail. So I don't know if this is allowed or not, but I would say that we need to actually increase that in the contract to $72 a day and call it what it is.
I think there is somewhere in there, I was looking to see if I could find a paragraph that says we can
I saw that.
review the cost.
Yearly.
Yearly.
Yearly,
Yes.
yeah, annually,
So
yeah, it can be.
yeah, we changed that in the last meeting.
It's 3C. Daily rate shall be evaluated.
Thank you, yeah, okay, there you go.
And Judge, with that clause being in there, and the comfort that both Brian and Chad had with the numbers that we had in that meeting we had last week, I think it's important that the court knows that it was not the sentiment necessarily of the judge and the magistrates who've been involved in our prior meetings about this as the Joint Jail Committee. It was the attorney.
Always is.
And he stated, I have no stake in making this proposal, but I think it should be $50. And that's when numbers were run, and actually their finance director was in here with us, and she came up with the $66 with the same equation that our jailer did. So with that clause in there that it's negotiable every year, I think we stick with the 65, and I make that a motion.
I thought I had one on the table already, I'm sorry.
Do we?
Well, he did, yes.
I did, yeah.
Oh.
So, now.
Again,
Was it seconded?
Well, we're going, we
No,
haven't
we
even
didn't
got
have a
that far.
chance.
Yeah. Manager Cullen made a motion to change the per diem rate from $65 to $72.
Yep.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Manager Harmon, seconds. Okay, any discussion on the change of the rate from 65 to 72?
Are you comfortable with the 65?
I think for the first year,
Okay. That's-
we're okay.
I mean, you're over that budget.
We've
so-
gone over this year after, I'm sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
It-
This agreement will disband the joint jail committee. So if we negotiate to an agreement with this, then their obligations under the joint jail committee go away.
Okay.
As it is right now, they can either sign this
Or stay
or
with
stay with the joint jail committee. That's, I think, the options.
And I think if we go too high, that reduces.
But then they become a partner where they have to help build with the new jail.
Right.
So
In the
that,
joint jail committee, yes.
yes, so the joint jail committee, so if we're building a $40 million jail to house some of their inmates, they have to come up with a portion of that money, correct?
30,
If under this, the current agreement now, yes.
Yeah.
Under the new
30%.
agreement. Well, it depends on
But
every year.
Whatever the
Can they
percentage is.
draw out, remove themselves from the contract?
No,
before it-
both parties have to agree.
Well, they can if
Both
we
parties,
agree
that's
with
right.
it.
No, not yet, the joint jail, they
And-
don't.
and
So
I can tell
they wanna
you,
get out.
it's gonna be hard enough building a jail with just Boyle County deciding.
Right.
You add another county in, it's
That
gonna
could
be a
get bad.
nightmare.
Understand.
And I recommend that we go to the, as a
New
jailer, I recommend we go to the
Okay.
new agreement, as a,
Second it.
My shoes a lot longer.
I just don't understand why we set ourselves up to lose money right off the bat.
Well, I don't
That's-
think we will.
So I mean, I'd be willing to amend it to 70, but
Well,
I,
here's the thing, I come in, for the past 3-4 years, I've come in $1.3 million under budget. So my actual cost is $40, $45, $46.
Right, yeah, I think that's what we
So,
did.
so there's room in there. But as a business, nobody goes out here and buys watermelons at $10 a piece and sells them at $10 a piece.
Right.
So, we're still in there to cover our costs.
Right.
And now, you all know as well as I do, we could have another epidemic, we could have whatever happen, aliens could land, and our costs go through the roof, and I'll come in. But I think by using those numbers, be able to come in 1.3, since I've been in office, and give money back on top of that, I think we're okay at 65 for now, for a year, and then we can sit down and reevaluate.
Yearly.
Because it's gonna be 3 years before the jail's built, so we have time. That's my recommendation, yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to change the per diem rate from $65 to $72, and that has been seconded.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, Manager Cullen has withdrew his motion. Do we have a motion to approve the agreement as written?
so moved.
Okay, Manager Ellis, is there a second?
I'll make it second.
Manager Podner, okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on the agreement as it is?
Well, simply, we have to move forward. It's just that. There's no stalling and we even have to take into consideration what might happen in Frankfurt, because they're not particularly happy with jails being built right now, and we're under a moratorium that allows us that option, so.
Does this-
that-
Sorry.
So that's my persuasion that we move ahead now.
Does this contract also give us the ability, if after a year it doesn't work, we can actually remove them as a partner?
It actually gives both parties 120 day to give a notice. That's in the contract as well.
But it's not one of these silly where it has to be
No,
approved
either.
by both?
Oh, no.
No, either
Never
county,
again.
either county can give
So
120
6
days.
We
months.
inherited the dual
Get out.
signature.
You all did get this in your packet, right?
Yes.
It
Okay.
is.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, just making sure.
Well, I think if Brian's good with it, I'm good with it. I know he sees it every day. You live it every day, so.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that-
I go that, I trust Brian's judgment of
Right.
this.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And then one other thing, Darlene had a question on, I guess come from them about why we're charging Lincoln County and Garrett County $50 a day. That was done under the last 2 fiscal court judges in both county. The reason was when Lincoln was housing Lincoln and Garrett. And when they shut down, Garrett went to Nicholasville, Lincoln went to Somerset or Pulaski County. Well, they wanted to leave inmates for free in our facility, so they didn't have to drive them down there. So I went with both judges last time and said, hey, we need to do something about this, or we're gonna be footing 2 other counties' bills because there's no agreement.
Right.
So they wrote letters saying, hey, we're gonna charge you, we'll give you like 3 days, because the sheriff is busy, he's gotta do transports.
Yeah.
We'll do that, but you get, anything after that, I think is what the letter said, that, you'll be charged $50 a day, all medical, everything's included. So that's why that is. And we don't charge other jails. Other counties, it'll show a rate of $29, but like if Boyle County has one in Winchester, well, they don't charge us. They may be there 2 weeks before the sheriff can go get them.
Right.
And we may do the same thing. Somebody from Paducah may be in ours. It may take them 3 weeks to get up here to get them. It's just something we don't charge.
Right.
Now, if they have a big medical bill, we will submit a medical bill to them, say, hey, can you cover this? We'll cover everything else. So it's kind of a gentleman's agreement among the association. That's why we don't charge. Because right now, today, or this morning, I have probably 8 inmates from other counties and I'm waiting to be picked up. Well, we're not gonna send them a bill because they will come and pick them up in the next week, so.
What is your count?
202.
So
Broke it down?
I don't have numbers broken down. I can get to you this afternoon.
Any agreements with other counties outside of that would be the 65?
It would be the same rate.
If somebody came to us and said they,
Yes, that would be the rate for whoever. So if another county wants, because one, you gotta think too, I'm gonna be providing a staff member to do the medical billing for them, to get the bill at a lower rate. So they're not gonna have to hire somebody to do that. They're gonna be fed, they're gonna get all the utilities, they're gonna get all the counseling, the treatment, everything that goes along with it. I mean, it's basically a small city inside the city out there. So they're gonna get all the services that our inmates receive. So that's why that number's in there. So we're not just charging them some arbitrary number. There's some services and different things that go with that number.
I do believe that's why they threw out that $50 number, is because she had looked into it and had found this.
Yeah, that's just because we didn't want them leaving their inmates in Boyle County until they went to court and us having to foot the bill.
For an extended amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that explanation.
Any other questions?
It's voted.
I think we're good, yeah.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I'll be down with it.
Next out here, I need to get.
I'm sorry?
No.
Need to let somebody out here next.
Only if Rob Coel's out there, but I don't know.
We going over the home
Okay,
incarceration?
yes ma'am, that's next. Home incarceration contract. This agreement was presented to the joint jail, which they approved. Counselor, do you have anything else you wanna?
I mean, there's a few little things that, there's like some redundant parts regarding insurance, which I had removed, and then I had a clause put in there about if we have a dispute where the lawsuit would take place. So those things have been fixed, and I think that we're right. It's $10 a day. It's $8.25 plus $1.75 equal $10 a day. So I'm fine with how the contract reads
Presented,
now.
okay.
Yes.
Julie, do you have anything to add?
No, William's fine, we're fine, everybody's happy.
Everybody's fine.
This has been 2 years in the making, I think, so.
Okay, so like I said, the Joint Jail Committee did approve this, so we get approval from the fiscal court. Is there a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved.
Measure Ellis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Measure Sleeper. Any discussion on the home incarceration program agreement? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And this will be with Commonwealth testing. Motion is approved. Okay, next is the auto sharing ordinance. Attorney Herron, you're up.
Yes, I wasn't here the last time, but I think there were some questions maybe that came forward. Did you all get a in your packet? It's like a letter from me. My assistant Jenny Irwin actually did some research on the fees and so forth that you could take.
Okay, okay.
one thing that, in northern Kentucky, it's like 3 counties, Boone and Kenton, and I can't remember the other county. They've gone together, they have like a,
Campbell?
Campbell maybe.
Probably.
It's an agreement, and, cause that's like a tri-city, there's that, big airport there where they use a lot of, taxi service, Lyft, Uber and things like that. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense there. Here, I don't know. I mean, that's a question that you guys are going to have to think on whether or not we want to do this tax, because basically, when you get 3% of gross rental fees, but what would happen is the person that's renting the vehicle to you is going to probably pass that off to the customer. And yesterday, I wanted to see if you can even really get a Lyft or an Uber here. I know that like you could be in Lexington and get one that will bring you down here, and maybe that Uber or whatever's here, and while they're here, they might like run around or whatever. But we tried yesterday on 2 separate occasions to, just to see if we could get an Uber or Lyft. It acts like you can, and then it just says, wait, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're not gonna, we just couldn't get one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was an issue that I have, and, so, if we had those things, which, maybe our county's gonna grow, and we'll get that, I mean, it would be nice to have those types of services for people, especially now that we have our new Drakes and other restaurants where, people can take advantage of those kind of, car services, so we get out on our roads drinking and driving. I mean, I'd love to, I'd welcome that, but we don't have that much right now. But even if you did, you could get 3%, and the license fee can be 3%, and the license fees collected will be required to be paid to the county on a monthly basis. The fiscal court shall provide for collection of the fee and can get 3% of the amount collected. So it's like 3% of the 3%. The fiscal court could charge for collection fees, but I mean, then we'd have to decide who's going to be the one to collect these fees. And I think, something maybe was mentioned to the county clerk's office, and like, we don't really want to, we are already collecting a bunch of fees, but that's definitely up to you guys.
That would kind of fall under like we do for the hotel tax. CDB is responsible for that. And if this is going to go to economic development, which it should, then someone from economic development could very easily do it.
And that 3% has to be used for economic development activities, and then the 3% of the 3% would be for the administrative fees. I mean, there's different kinds of.
Well, it says the fees will be collected by the motor vehicle renting company. From the renters. Right,
they collect it and they give it to us, but we're going to have to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Correct.
The only thing I'm unclear of, like...
I don't think the county clerk's office would have a role in this.
No.
Well,
It would probably be Susanna's office if anybody in the county did it, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing that's kind of unclear, and I'm trying to understand it better. There's a thing called U-Drive It, and I thought that was a lot. It dealt with like fleet vehicles, where like a company like Enterprise rents these fleet vehicles to companies such as like Dish Network or whatever, all those little vans. And that would be something else. I mean, where we could get the tax. And then what I'm reading about this morning, potentially on.
But it doesn't include. It does not include you drive it.
I think it does include you drive. It does include you drive.
It does not.
All right. Now, it's just talking about a business platform that connects vehicle owners. It's not saying it doesn't include it. It's just talking about what that business platform is. But you drive it. I thought it was just the fleet vehicles, but when I'm looking a little bit more into it today, it could be leased vehicles that are leased for over 365 days. So maybe we could get it from like the Stewart Pals or the Bob Allens, or people lease cars. So I'm not 100% sure on it. I'm still researching it further, because this is kind of like
the leased vehicles fall under that you drive it.
Yeah, so it's a little wishy-washy, but I think if it's a leased vehicle, then we could get that. And I know a lot of people do lease vehicles these days, so that would be probably where we would get most of our money, because when we have Enterprise rent a car, they don't really I mean, I don't know how much rental they do. I mean, they might do a lot because they're the only company in town, but, in tax, this would be subject to taxi services and stuff too, which we might have one or two.
We have a couple, cause I was just over at the car wash and I saw 2,
Yeah.
so.
I still am against it. I think it's just, I talked to one person about it and she said, yeah, but if they put that tax on those people, won't they then, the insurance is gonna have to pay more, so then they're gonna put a little more on your insurance. It just comes back around to hurting the everyday person. And I know you think that people don't use the rentals, but some do. When their cars, they don't have insurance to pay for them a car, they have to rent a car. So I'm not, I could see it in the future maybe, but I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there.
Okay.
I have to disagree. I think we tend to play a lot of like catch up on things instead of being proactive. And after spending, I spend a good amount of my time these days on the road, and we utilize these all over the place, not just in big cities. And they are around. We have a couple here. They may not be on service right now, but they are here, especially when we start getting that $50 million athletic center built. Once that gets going and you've got 6 to 8 teams in town and they want to kind of get around whatever, especially if they've been drinking, I don't know, I just think it's kind of silly. Like I said, we utilize it when we get dropped off at the Lexington airport and come down here. I know that's not the side we get, but it's going to start picking up more. It's pretty much everywhere. We've got a couple now, and we'll start seeing some more here and there. Insurance, most rental cars are covered by insurance companies. If somebody's gotten into an accident, they need to have it, so it's covered by insurance. It's 3%. It's a consumption tax, which is kind of a lot what we're going to. So there's no reason why everyday Boyle County people have to pay taxes that go to economic development when we have a driver that could give economic development money that's not out of our pockets, but it's out of people using the service. So,
and wouldn't it be a service that's more attractive since we have it as opposed to frustrated when you get to the airport or something else where you need that by having it in place?
Yeah. Again, it's just like, it only triggers when people sign on. So, but it's better to have it and people from out of town using it than not having it and then be like, oh crap, we're missing out on all this money and we got to push to get something. And on the other side, the rideshare companies may be lobbying to kind of go against some of this stuff. So at that point, we're like, oh, we can't collect it anymore. We lost our opportunity. So,
Well,
I'm not a tax person, but I am a consumption tax person because they're using our services, they're using our roads, and so, if they're coming from out of town.
Well, and even the local issue brought up by our counselor, we want, especially as we go into the holiday season, to recognize the fact that people might imbibe too much and need a ride, and then it is a local fee or tax that they would pay, but that's part of their decision to need that ride at the end.
If they can get the ride, that's my thing. And are we gonna chase down some people?
I'll set up 3 cars today, Chris. Will that make you feel better?
I'm afraid, say that somebody brings Jason back from Lexington here. Are we gonna go?
How are we gonna
chase
monitor
that guy down and to get the 3%?
No, that part comes from it all derives from where they came from,
Right.
like where the ride started. That's where the tax comes from.
Yeah.
So, but now on the other hand, somebody could very easily, if it works out, pick up somebody from here and take them back to Lexington Airport. Those things do happen. That's the dream for most Uber
That's the
drivers
beauty
or
of
whatever.
Uber, back and forth.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, the court would have to adopt an ordinance. So I'm just asking, what is the court's pleasure today? Do you want to pursue it? Do you want to set it aside?
I'll
Do
make
you
a
want to
motion
take
we
any
pursue
action
it.
at all?
Yeah, I'll make a motion we pursue it.
Yeah, do we even need a motion or just?
Well, we'll have to have a
consent?
motion in order for Chris to,
Right, this is a discussion now. If you guys, and I'm not
then he'll have to draw a
for or
ordinance.
against it, I'll do whatever you guys want.
But you prefer a motion?
I want a motion so
A
it'll get me
support.
started one way or the other.
Yeah, make a motion, we go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Magistrate Cullen, a second by Magistrate Ellis. Any other discussion on moving forward and adopting an ordinance in support of House Bill 8? Okay, All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries.
Good to know.
I'll get on it.
Counselor Herring? Herron?
Red herring.
Right.
Okay, we have a few proclamations, but I am going to take Chairman's prerogative and I am going to skip to our appointments to the airport board because one of our appointees is on a strict schedule today. And that would be Mr. Robinson. So I'm going to present 3 recommendations for appointment. Actually, they're all reappointments to the airport board. We have Rod Coyle, Marshall Wilt, and Bart Gover.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate Cullen. Is there a second? Second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion on the appointments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
And
We wanted to keep it painless.
Well, Rob works, well, the whole board works really hard, but Rob, I've been to quite a few meetings and he, passion for the airport comes out and I appreciate you serving this day.
Thank you.
all right. So, Rob, I have a certificate for you. I can get rid of all my other stuff. Okay, certificate of appointment. This term will end October 31st, 2027. Are you going to take the other 2 with you?
I will.
Okay,
Same appointment dates?
same.
Same.
All the same, yes.
Let me do a picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll have them come out.
Come around, she'd like to
I
have a
don't think Steve
photo.
wants to space between. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we appreciate you serving.
Thank you all. And thank
Have a
you
good
again
day.
for accommodating my schedule. I appreciate it
Yes.
very much. Thank you.
See.
Okay. Next, we have some proclamations. I would like to read the first one. We will not meet before Veterans Day, so I want to go ahead and make sure that we did our Veterans Day proclamation. Whereas Veterans Day has its origins in the November 11th, 1918 armistice which brought World War I to a conclusion, and whereas the Allied victory of World War I affirmed the strength of great nations acting together for high purposes. And whereas the people of the United States caused through their elected representatives the designating of November 11th as the federal legal holiday, which in 1954 became officially known thereafter as Veterans Day. And whereas Veterans Day continues to be celebrated and commemorated with solemn observances in honor of all Americans who have served their country in times of war and conflict. And whereas Veterans Day has become a significant part of our American heritage as we recognize the millions of our citizens whose military service has had a profound effect on history. And whereas the courage, honor, sacrifice, and dedication which veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed in the cause of justice, freedom, and democracy are most worthy of recognition. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Boyle County Fiscal Court, Danville, Kentucky, do hereby call upon all citizens to commend America's veterans and to observe Saturday, November the 11th, 2023 as Veterans Day. Signed this day of October 2023. A motion to approve? Okay, motion by Magistrate Ellis, second by Magistrate Bodner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And we want to remember that as we go into November, all of our veterans. Next is the Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas in 2022, an estimated 62,210 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 49,830 people will die from the disease. Whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, it is currently the 3rd leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States, and whereas detection of this cancer is critical. According to the American Cancer Society, the 5-year relative survival rate for pancreatic cancer that is not spread from the pancreas is 39%. When the cancer has spread from the pancreas to nearby tissue or lymph nodes, the survival rate drops to 13%. When pancreatic cancer spreads throughout the body, the survival rate is 3%. And whereas pancreatic cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths largely because there are no detection tools to diagnose the disease in its early stages. Citizens are encouraged to familiarize themselves with the 7 signs and symptoms of pancreatic cancer. And whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Boyle County are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness about pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatments. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Boyle County Fiscal Court that the month of November is hereby known as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Boyle County, Kentucky. We dedicate this month to the memory of 2 Boyle County employees who lost their battle with pancreatic cancer, Lenny Shepperson and Mike Wofford. And the next one is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month is November 2023. Whereas for more than 40 years, let's approve that one. Motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Magistrate Bodner, second.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Whereas for more than 40 years, hospice has helped provide comfort and dignity to millions of people, allowing them to spend their final months at home surrounded by their loved ones. Whereas the hospice model involves an interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, and comprehensive pain management as a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, hospice attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services such as respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas since its conception, the hospital benefits holistic approach has helped patients prepare for and face death, and their loved ones carry on supported in the wake of it. Whereas palliative care improves quality of life and offers relief from pain, can be provided at any time during an illness, and hospices are some of the best providers of community-based palliative care. Whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is the one few sectors that demonstrates how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patients. Whereas 1.72 million Medicare beneficiaries living within life-limiting illness and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States in 2020. Whereas hospice and palliative care organizations are advocates and educators about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care that they want. Whereas the central philosophy of hospice care puts patients first, ensuring a coordinated and person-centered approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care needs and wishes. Whereas given our universal mortality, hospice is a valuable benefit for all Americans and their loved ones. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Trilly L. Bottom, Boyle County Judge Executive, along with the Boyle County Fiscal Court, do hereby proclaim November 23 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, discuss their end-of-life wishes with their families, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Signed this day of October 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion by Magistrate Sleeper, second. Magistrate Bodner. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. I think we all can probably attest to some point in our lives where hospice has come in to help a loved one. I know they were very, very good to my father-in-law, and it's just a good service that we have here in our community. Okay, next is the James Herring Bridge name proposal. I was contacted by Mark Yeager, and the letter should be in your packet. He is a 74 graduate of Center College. His parents graduated from Danville High School in the 1930s. He has family lines in eastern Boyle, Garrett, and Lincoln counties. His father and 3 siblings were born in the toll house on the Herring Farm in Garrett County, just across the Dix River. He found an article in the newspaper dated July 15, 1936, and there was a proposal suggesting naming the Dix River Bridge on 52 the Herring Bridge for his great-great-grandfather, James Herring, who owned a 240-acre farm, including the Jim Herring Distillery and a bonded warehouse, through which the new pipe from Lancaster to Danville connected at the Iron Bridge he built across the Dix River in 1874. He is asking the court to support the proposal to name the bridge the James Herring Bridge. He has went to Garrett County Fiscal Court, and I received an email from Judge Elliman that his court approved the naming of the bridge to the James Herring Bridge. Representative Meade is involved because he will have to take a resolution to the legislature and present it there as well. So he's asking that we do the same thing on our side of the bridge, and I said it only makes sense for the bridge to be named the same thing on both sides. So if you all will approve that, we will get a resolution, and Representative Elliott will take it to the legislation for us.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion?
They even suggested they would pay for the signage.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
you can't, you know,
Yes,
so
that
that's-
was part, members will be pleased to assume responsibility for the cost of signage per state specifications. Thank you for pointing that out. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you, Magistrate Cullen, for making that motion. Next is BCTC, Dr. Tipton, and I believe you have some
I do.
folks with you.
Are you here with the bridge?
I was in support of it, yes, but
Okay.
Mr. Yeager's just my friend.
Awesome.
One of your constituents.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for being here.
Right, thank you for being here, sir. Thanks.
Well, good morning, and I apologize in advance for my voice. It's October in Kentucky, so anyway, we just are here to say thank you for the donation of the ambulance. So Director Rogers, Judge, Magistrates, we just want to thank you very much for this donation to our EMT program. I have a couple of colleagues with me, so first want to introduce Emily Swiney. She's the interim campus director at the Danville campus. And then we have Dan Forbring, who is the director of our paramedic and EMS programming at the college. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of all three of us. I thought that Dan may want to talk a little bit about the impact of the donation on not only what we have happening now at the campus, but the future. So Dan, I'll turn it over to you.
Morning.
Good morning.
So you donated the ambulance to BCTC, and I already kind of put it to use. We had a trauma scenario about 2 weeks ago after our fall break. I actually took it home and detailed the heck out of it, because you never know what's in the back of an ambulance, and we're going to have students back there. So bleach wipes and Clorox, stuff like that, I cleaned it really well. But it looks brand new, and we're going to get wrapped right now. The school just approved to have it wrapped, but it says BCTC ambulance. I don't know if you've seen Facebook, but it looks just like, it's going to look just like our ambulance simulator that we have in one of our classrooms, except it's going to say donated by Boyle County EMS or the left-hand side. So we did put it to use during our trauma scenario. We had every allied health program, we had cosmetology, we had the truck driving school all involved, and I had my paramedic students stock it to make it look real, and we utilized these actors and everything, and we had this big trauma scenario, so we got to put it to use, and it worked really well. So, but also it's going to be helpful to, we have a diesel mechanic program, and so they want to change the oil and service it and stuff like that. So
Dual
good
purpose.
it's good for me because they don't charge full price for maintenance. So, but one thing I'm going to definitely use it for is we're starting an advanced EMT program here in Danville. Starts in January, and then the paramedic program starts in the fall. Paramedic a little bit more complex. That's why I'm not just starting in January. I have to go through accreditation and stuff like that. And we just started our Leestown campus last January and Georgetown last fall. And so I kind of don't want to overwhelm myself with multiple paramedic programs all at once. So, but the paramedic program will start next fall. I've been talking to Mr. Rogers quite a bit. He's a huge supporter of us, definitely helping us out with expired supplies, which we can use over and over and over again. And but we're going to use that ambulance mostly down here, and then also we have an EMT program that's already here in Danville, and they meet every Monday and Wednesday night from 5 to 9, and so we're actually going to implement a driving part of their program with that ambulance. So just stay out of the parking lot while they're driving. But other than that, I'm really appreciative of it, because it's definitely going to add another element to training for these paramedic students. So You wanna add some extra seats, you can do the ride sharing we're talking about. Well, you know, I mean, our price is gonna go up.
We'll
But
take it.
it's a really good ambulance, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much.
We just really appreciate your all
It's-
partnership over the years. You all have been such a friend to the college.
It's,
So thank you.
it's gonna benefit us in the long run, because the more, people we have trained in EMS, then it's gonna benefit the county, so.
We appreciate
Thank
the college,
you.
we
Thank you all.
appreciate the college's contribution to our community as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes, appreciate that.
And Dr. Tipton will be getting back to you on those benches for
Yes.
Constitution Square.
We're
We've got
excited
the
about
book
that.
now,
Yeah,
so
right.
thank you.
Good deal. We're excited about that, so. Well, thank you all.
being
Have a
here.
great rest of your
Yeah.
day.
No matter.
Thank you.
And before she slips out the
Yeah.
door, I just now noticed she was sitting in the corner. This is a very, very dear friend of mine, but she also happens to be the cousin of Mark Yeager.
A descendant.
So she is a descendant of James Herron.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
Miranda Jaggers.
All right, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Somebody was sitting in front of you and I didn't even know you were back there. Is Shannon out there?
There she is.
Hold on.
Shannon? I'm gonna skip again.
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a comp time agreement for Larry Curtis,
Yes.
also known as Gus.
Gus.
All right. Motion made by Measure Cullen, second by Measure Bodner. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Would you have Harold Edwards come in? Motion is approved.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Got some handouts here, if you all will, take one of these, it's a video booklet, and has a charger cord with it. If you will, you don't have to play it now, but it's just something for you all to look at.
This is not a trick or treat now, is it?
Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you all for having me here. I'm with the Payroll Battlefield Commission, and I had a meeting last week with Judge Trilly and Tom, and they asked me to come before you all and present some of the things that I talked to them about. The first thing I'd like to talk about, and I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible, is the economic impact of tourism dollars for Boyle County. And I'm sure you all know some of these figures, and forgive me if I'm repeating them to you, but $75.91 million is what Boyle County generates in tourism. Out of that, 18.03 million is job related. $6 million is generating local fees and taxes that's sent back to the state. And our state park budget for the whole state park system is $41 million. We have 44 state parks, so if we break that down, that's $930,000 per park. We are getting nowhere near that at Perryville. I think, and don't hold me to this, I could not get this figure, I tried, but I think our budget is somewhere around $300,000.
Who's starting to play with their books?
Might be a little less, actually.
Maybe even a little less, as Tom said. And we have several ongoing issues that I wanted to talk to you all about. Well, first, obviously, the lack of funding to keep the maintenance up, to keep the workforce and equipment for 1,500 acres now is nowhere near what it needs to be. Now, let me say this about the people that are there. They do a good job. They work hard. This is no reflection on those. There's just not enough of them. The park system is just starving us to death. The following properties have been, to be quite frank with you, totally neglected. The Dye House, which is General Buckner's headquarters, the Sleetown House, which was and cemetery, which was our black community that was there after the Civil War, the Boy Scout camp building and the Scout camp grounds and Crawford Springs around the Crawford House has just been totally neglected. The White Farm, if you notice, that's the last farm that they have acquired. If you drive by there and look at that, you'll see the barn, the roof blew tin off the barn. The barn's about to fall down. The place is growed up. They're doing basically nothing there. One of the biggest issues we have is the natural habitat, which should be native grasses, has grown up with invasive species like Bradford pears and other things which have have really become a problem because it interferes with the view shed, and as you can tell by looking at it, it doesn't look like it's supposed to. Some of the reasons for that, I think, are lack of cooperation with the Parks Department, with local groups like the Friends Group, the Commission, and other agencies. They don't do a good job of communicating between agencies, I don't think. You can no longer ride horses at the park, you can't fish in ponds, you can't do anything that I know of except walk around and read the signs. Maybe have a picnic. I don't know if the playground is still there. I haven't looked for it, but someone told me it wasn't. There's been no major construction or improvements in the park since 1962. There's been no buildings built, just maintenance done since 1962. We're operating pretty much at the mercy of the Parks Department. We feel like that we're kind of getting short in the stick here. And I encourage you all to drive out there and look at that for yourself. You'll see what I'm talking about. I think solutions, the reason I'm here is to ask the fiscal court to work with the commission to meet with the state parks department at least once or twice a year. If we don't look after our park, who will? There's no one but the Friends Group, the commission, and now I'm asking you all. I would like to also know what our budget is. I'd like to know what their future plans are, long-term and short-term plans. We have a huge problem with communication. You can't seem to find out anything. And as a commission appointed by the governor, you would think that if we called and asked for figures or something, we'd get it, but we don't. So I'm just keep it short and sweet. I'm ready to hear any questions you all have.
Well, Harold, thank you for being here and bringing all these concerning issues to our attention. And we can certainly reach out and ask some questions and see if we can find some answers. Anybody else have any comments? Anybody else?
We'll bring it up at our CAECO conference, and we'll start there.
Yeah, Judge, I'd like to make 3 comments. Number one, and these 2 guys, our jailer and Herron, are amazing Civil War historians, and they'll know so much more about this than I do. But Lincoln basically said, I must have Kentucky to win the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln said that. Number 2, if you log on and just ask your iPad who the Gettysburg of the West is, because of its significance, is our battlefield in Perryville. And number 3, there is no other battlefield from the Civil War more complete than the Perryville battlefield. These are just so important facts. And I guess number 4, when you write it down, is the draw that it is, which was emphasized by Mr. Edwards a few minutes ago in terms of tourism. 3.5 years ago, we had 19 states represented by their CVB people out there in the tiny little conference building that we have, enthusiastic about adding it to their tourism lists all over the United States. And it's not just the United States. People come from worldwide to see the Perryville battlefield, which kind of has an economic impact on all of Boyle County. So.
You said they haven't built any new facilities, but is there talk of tearing some down?
Well, hopefully we've stopped that. They at a commission meeting, we found out that right across from the museum, the shelter that everybody uses for so long, the only
building that the 19
and the only meeting room that we have, they're going to tear that down, just put handicapped restrooms in there. And we throw a fit and said, no, we use that room. That's the only room we have.
Right.
And these decisions, I don't know who makes them. We can't seem to find out. But they don't consult with anybody. I mean, it's just done. And they don't do much, to be honest with you. But we think maybe with Tom's help, we kind of put a damper on that, or at least it's up for further discussion. Because
Well, most decisions have to start at the top, and then the people under just have to comply. So I'm just wondering if that doesn't come from the state, and then people at the battlefield are just following orders.
Oh, yeah, the people at the battlefield are definitely not their decision. No, they could make that kind of decision.
Yeah.
One of the things that concerns me, you all, and again, if you don't live on that end of the county, I understand you don't see it like we do. But every year I see it deteriorating a little further, a little further. The invasive species, the wildlife, that's supposed to be native grasses, not native jungle. I mean, Bigfoot could get through some of it. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
One field is just completely grown up with trees.
Yeah, and we don't understand, you know, what's your plan here? Like the dye house, for example. It's just sitting there rotting down. Well, if you don't have the money, then what's your plan to come up with money or use the private sector and so forth? So these are just some of the issues that we're dealing with, but we'd love for the fiscal court to be more involved, because like I said, if we don't, who will? This is our park. It belongs to Boyle County and the state of Kentucky.
It's very significant for our community. There was a guest at one of the local bed and breakfasts in Payroll, and he was a historian, but he also worked somehow with the federal government. I'm not exactly sure what his occupation was, but he went out there, and when he came back, he told the owners, he said, that is the most intact battlefield I have ever been on.
It is.
And he said it is, he loves Gettysburg, but he said at Gettysburg, there's just too many statues. And this one, you know, it's pristine.
Well, you could see it
Except
like
for
they
the
saw it. And that's important for historians, but there's other uses for the park, and we love the natural aspect of it, because not everybody's a historian, not everybody's interested in that.
Right.
But they like other things. But,
You had conversations with Representative Elliott on this?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yeah, he's been out there with us.
Commission meetings and so forth.
I just cannot believe that the riding of horses has been banned out there. And then even almost insult to injury, when we had our inmates out helping in Perryville for the festival a couple of weeks ago, they also went out to the battlefield, stayed on the gravel or the dirt roads that are all throughout it, and they were going to the trash cans that were out there and picking them up, and they were thrown off of the Perryville battlefield. So there's some understandings, and that was by a state official. And there's some understandings that we need to reach with the state on this issue all
Needs
throughout.
communication.
Why was
I'll be glad to
horseback
reach
riding
out.
banned? Why was it banned? Horseback riding?
Well, they don't give you a reason. Liability. I'll give you another instance.
Oh, my goodness, the
Some years
ponds.
ago, the ponds, I was back there walking one night, and I noticed they had a bulldozer back there, and they were pushing in ponds, you know, and I'm like, why are they, first of all, spending the money to push in ponds? In Payroll, if you go down there right now, look at the Doctor's Fork and all, it's practically dry. This is runoff streams in the fall, it gets really dry. So if we don't have these ponds for the wildlife, they don't have water. And they were pushing these ponds. I asked them at the next commission meeting, I said, why are you pushing in the ponds? They said, well, it's for liability reasons. And I'm like, well, I think 3 or 4 people died in Cumberland Lake last year. Are you gonna drain it?
And Barkley and Kentucky Lake down there.
Their reasoning, it's really strange when you sit down and talk to them. Their reasoning is not our reasoning. Our thought is make this the biggest, the best thing we can have. Their reasoning to me is, that's just too much trouble. We won't fool with it. And use liability is used a lot to not do anything. So basically, that's what we're up against. As a commission, we've been fighting for this stuff. But, you know, I just thought of it here a while back. It's like, we need to get the fiscal court involved. They need to hear more voices than just ours. Because, you know, we hear a lot of complaints about the park, and they need to hear from more voices than just a smaller group. And that's why I'm here today.
Judge, I'd like to recommend that we come back with a draft letter that we could all sign.
Sure.
We'll try to figure out between now and getting that draft letter, but get it over to Frankfurt, perhaps all the way up to the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, because I know that the Speaker of the House is passionate about the Civil War in Kentucky and is very aware of the Perryville battlefield. So those would be 2 names that I'd certainly want to put on that letter that we would all jointly sign with you.
2 things I would suggest to you. Number 1, have at least an annual meeting with the Parks Department, hopefully the commissioner. Number 2 is you might want to appoint a magistrate or someone to give annual or quarterly reports on what's going on with the park and answers to some tougher questions.
I nominate Tom.
I'd be happy to.
I had the privilege to work down there 2 years with the inmates, and we did a lot of weed eating. We did a lot of cutting grass. We also picked up litter, which was very little. And at that time, the state had shut down their inmates from going out and working. So the battlefield was in bad shape. They had, 2 guys that rode the lasers and 1 guy that was overseeing over the maintenance of it. And he did all he could do. And they've been shorthanded for a purpose. And they've let the place become trash. They told me several times, we don't want to fix it up too much. I said, what do you mean? That's what we've been told from higher up. They don't want to fix it up.
Well, you can't even volunteer. I went out there, I know the trails were needing mowed, and they complained they didn't have the help, so I went out myself and mowed trails and others, and they stopped that real quick because they said we couldn't have the liability of us out there on mowers.
I was gonna ask you, we definitely need to be more involved, but some of those local service clubs are involved in eliminating invasive species like along Clark's Run and stuff. Would that be something you all had any thought to involving them?
Well,
It'd be whether they'd allow it or not.
let's see that, we're not in control of that, but the Nature Preserve, is one agency involved, and then the Parks Department, and they don't communicate with anybody about anything. And it's hard to, we have a commission, our chairman Ed Miller and Helen Dedman will be meeting with them here in a couple of weeks, or maybe next week, I think it is. My meetings with the Parks Department in the past they just tell us what we want to hear, we go out the door, and nothing ever happens.
When is the next commission meeting?
It should be in November.
November, okay.
And we will make sure that you all get noticed. If as many magistrates could come, we would really appreciate it, and it would be very informative. We're working hard to try to make things work as much as possible. By the way, the Crawford House did sell October the 4th, or it was auctioned off October the 4th. I have still not got the word on who rewarded the bid or anything. I've called several times, but hopefully we'll be hearing something about that. Okay. So that house can be saved.
We'll be glad to do our due diligence. Thank you, Harold.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Harold.
Casey McCoy. Saw him out there a while ago.
I'm about to say crazy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Third quarter report?
Yep, I'm just here for the third quarter report.
Okay.
We're going under our salary cap, so we're good.
All
Everything
right.
looks good.
Court just has to acknowledge receipt of the report unless you all have any questions. You're good to go.
No.
You ready for the main event?
We're ready. We've sent out, as of today, 402 absentee ballots.
Awesome.
And around 50 to be sent out today, so just remind everybody to vote at the showroom and
Get out
on
and vote.
early voting and get out.
And that's the new location.
That's the new location.
And is that for early and election day?
Early and election
Okay.
day. Inter-county will still be on election day, but
Okay.
there'll be no early voting at inter-county.
Just for our listeners.
Yep, just for the listeners.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. Okay, next is Director Muncy. Permission to bid a wood chipper. Are you gonna buy some squirrels? Haha, that's a joke.
All right, as everyone knows, we did receive a grant from the state for the wood chipper, but I have found out since then that the quote I have is not state price contract. They're not on there.
Oh.
So therefore, it's over 30,000, so I would need permission to bid that.
Okay. How much is it?
What they give us is $89,941. And that's why I sort of dread bidding it, but we really don't have any other choice.
Okay, so you're asking for permission to bid it then? Okay. All right, motion,
Motion approved.
Master Cullen, second.
Second.
Second by Master Sleeper. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. You're welcome. Steve Griffin. Come on in. We've kept you waiting so long.
All right, I know it. Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to introduce our new animal shelter director, Kristen Sloan, or Sissy.
We've waited so long.
Sissy actually started work last Wednesday, and she's a graduate of Western Kentucky and at University of Florida. She had her master's at University of Florida, so she's welcomer and glad to have her.
Happy to be here.
Yes.
Awesome. We are happy to have you,
Yes.
and we know you are going to do great things out there.
Yes.
And we're going to
And
have a
your
dynamite
credentials
team.
are what? Because I hear they're very good.
Yeah, I have an undergraduate in nonprofit admin and animal science, and then a master's in shelter medicine, so veterinary science and specifically the shelter aspect of it. So
Great. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
She knows
Glad
what
to
she's
have
doing.
yeah, hitting the ground running, trying to get the dogs in order over there.
Yeah, it's good.
Huh?
She might wanna stay for.
You might want to stay.
All right, well, thank you.
And one more thing, since Jason Cullen usually mentions a small blue area over there, we have a lot of dogs, so
Okay.
I want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a lot of voters, but a lot of dogs.
I get it. They're out there in the county areas, I get it.
Okay, next, Julie,
Okay.
looks like you are going to wrap us up.
We, at the
Start
last
calling Tom the
fiscal
dog
court
father.
meeting, there was a question. There was a question at the last meeting about, outside citizens accessing county Facebook pages for editing and updates. And upon, advice of council, we've been advised not to do that. So I just wanted to follow up with that to you, that really any county Facebook pages need to be managed by county employees.
So I have to take down my unofficial one.
So that's that. The second is, I'd like to go kind of see if you have any questions on the animal control policy manual that I've been writing for, it feels like forever.
Yes. Really
Um,
good reading.
Put you to sleep.
It's pretty comprehensive.
It is very comprehensive.
I took several sources. I took the National Animal Care, NACA they call it, Humane Society manual, a manual that we were using that was never approved by fiscal court, a couple other kind of questions I had I would do some research on. I have run the medication, animal medical care through Kristen just to make sure that everything passed her standards, and we made a few minor changes, but all in all, I think this is a good start, and I hope you all will adopt it today so we can get everybody trained and follow the rules.
And move forward, yes.
Absolutely.
Make a motion we approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate Cullen.
I'll second it.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion on the policy and procedure manual for Boyle County Animal Control?
Now, we've needed this a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a long time coming. It's great.
And I did pass this through the Humane Society Board, the committee that we were working on with the agreement, and I should have said that.
That's critical for the record.
And we appreciate all your endurance on getting this manual together.
About time.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Steve, you have something to say? I'm sorry.
And Kristen prefers to be called Sissy, just for the
I
record.
go by Sissy.
There you go.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. Courthouse roof?
Okay, the windstorm last March continues to be the bane of our existence. We've had several repairs, leaks are still coming through, so we called the adjuster. He came back to look at the roof last Tuesday, and his estimate is about $29,179.32. Before we signed any kind of contract with Bodner, who's done all the other repairs, we felt like we needed to bring this for your approval. It will be reimbursed, but still, we're signing a
initial cost. Yeah, we'll come to
$29,000 contract, we need your approval.
Should I mention that that's my son?
Yes, ma'am.
We're not in the business with him. His dad came out 2 years ago, but I just wanted to mention that.
Sure.
Am I correct that guttering was taken care of a few months ago?
I'm
Guttering?
recusing. Absolutely.
I knew it was.
We did it Constitution Square, we did guttering.
No, I think we did it here too.
Yeah,
because-
There was some guttering that got knocked down Christmas before last, I think
That
ice
was
storm
that
or
long
something,
ago?
and that was, yeah, it was laying out in the yard,
Yeah,
that has been
that's all
repaired.
taken care of.
This is new damage that they found when shingles blew off, and we just continue to find.
Hopefully this will be the last of the March windstorm repair.
Till next month.
Now, should
To the
I,
next one.
should I recuse myself from voting?
Yeah.
I think so. That's what I thought.
Okay. All right, so, estimate for, courthouse roofing repair, $29,179.32. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Ellis, second by
Second.
Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. And then, resolution for new jail construction.
Yes, in your packet, you should have a copy of the resolution for a detention center to proceed. I don't know who would like to read this. Please don't make me.
You want me to read it?
If you would.
Okay.
What's it titled?
Wait, what's the wording?
Resolution number 231024, a resolution of Boyle County Fiscal Court expressing intent to acquire property, create plans, issue bonds, and construct a new detention center in Boyle County, Kentucky. Whereas construction of a new detention center facility is necessary, whereas the construction of a new detention center facility with 250 plus beds is necessary, whereas Branstetter Carroll was selected to complete a feasibility study on the Boyle County Detention Center, which was presented and adopted by Fiscal Court in November 2018. Whereas Boyle County Fiscal Court formed a committee of staff, citizens, legal representatives, substance abuse advocates, and detention center officials who were engaged in the planning for a new facility before the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Boyle County Fiscal Court acknowledges the 2018 study shows the existing facility cannot be affordably or adequately be renovated to meet current spatial standards, education, and training needs or technology requirements. Whereas Boyle County Fiscal Court desires to maintain a detention center facility that complies with all state and federal standards, provides educational technical skill development, and provide treatment to all incarcerated persons, giving them every opportunity to leave our facility better than when they arrived. Bless you. Whereas the County of Boyle has sufficient bonding and revenue sources to pay the bonded indebtedness of the proposed detention center facility, and whereas the number of sources of prisoners for the detention center facility is sufficient to maintain the financial viability of the detention center facility, and whereas the projected operating costs for the detention center facility are appropriate to maintain the financial viability of the detention center facility, and whereas the sources of revenue are sufficient to pay, in addition to the bonded indebtedness, the operation costs and maintenance for the detention center facility. Now therefore be it resolved, the Boyle County Fiscal Court intends to construct a new detention center, hereby direct Branstetter Carroll and staff to begin acquisition of property, preparation of application to the Department of Corrections, and commence in the financial and construction planning, including the intent to issue bonds. This will be the first reading.
Oh, do we need a motion on it?
Yes.
I move that we accept this resolution on first reading.
Okay, we have a motion by Magistrate Ellis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion?
I just repeat what I said earlier, that the timing is critical, that the legislature could do anything they want come January through April 15. And I know that our jailer is wanting each one of us to contact our constituents if they have any concerns about this, because it's a big ticket item, and arrange to have a tour out there and just see what we have and what we face for the future.
And this recommendation was, this resolution was recommended by Branstetter Carroll in order for us to be able to move forward, that we adopt this resolution to build a new facility. Mr. Cullen?
Yeah, so we'll have more roundtables with Branstetter Carroll on.
Absolutely.
We're looking to build size, all that
Yes,
stuff. Okay.
this is just the initial paperwork to get started.
Get them, hit the ground running.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Is that all you have, Judy?
That's all I have.
Okay. Magistrate reports. We will start with Magistrate Bodner.
Well, they're still working on trying to get the siren fixed on Airport Road. I'm real interested in getting that fixed. They said, he has gotten a lift truck, which Junction City, Mayor Douglas, said that he would let us borrow that if we needed that, you know, anytime to let him know if we could borrow that. But there's something about it being 400 pounds and they can't get it down, so Brian Coyle said they are working on that, so I'm gonna keep up on that, make sure we need to get this in before we have any, you know, get it to working. I mean, it's been
What-
not functioning for
What
long
sign are you
now.
referring to? I'm sorry.
At the Airport Road siren. It's
Oh,
not-
siren, I thought you said
Yeah.
sign, I'm sorry.
Siren, I'm sorry.
No.
Got that country,
Twang.
twang, it's, there it is. And
Like,
then.
that's a heavy sign, I'm like, gee.
400-pound sign. Siren. And then, the other thing I did was I went to a meeting, at Moorhead
Yeah.
University, very informative about House Bill 9. I mean, they're going to include 50 more counties, in the coal money that they're getting, and that's a huge pot of money. And it can do major things for our county, and which, of course, you've heard me say before, I'm very interested in the parks, the bike park and the Junction City Park, getting those up and going. So it's really interesting. My first step is to get a hold of Bluegrass Ad. I have called them, I have emailed them, and haven't heard anything in the last 3 days. So I'm gonna keep calling and keep doing everything.
That's gonna be one of our roundtable discussions at CACO.
Oh, good.
Bill 9.
Oh, good. Well, early bird gets the worm, so I want to get my application in ASAP.
Sure.
Because, they're already taking applications. So, you know, I want to jump in and get that going, but I can't do it until Bluegrass Ad returns my call or my email or whatever. But anyway, it's a really good conference, and it's gonna make, generational change to communities. So, I'm very happy I went to that. There is Halloween at Junction City, the 31st, from 5 to 7:30, trick or treat or trunk or treat. And then we did have a great chili cook-off there at the fire department in Junction City.
I wasn't able to attend that, I wanted to come, but I heard it went really well.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay. Minister Harmon,
Nothing.
nothing. You just wanna say
City's
happy
doing,
Halloween to everybody?
city's
or-
doing a good job. I
All
appreciate it.
right. Oh.
Yeah.
I asked Brian to come so he can give a little update on
Okay.
that. Brian, I won't put you on the spot, we're talking about the Junction City siren.
Yes.
If you can give just a little bit of update on that.
Yeah, I called Miss Boder yesterday. That siren, to our knowledge, the last time it worked was in April.
I thought it was not working before because we were talking about it in March being fixed.
It,
So I
it
didn't-
worked, but to our understanding, the bearings on the motor is actually going out on it, and it'll almost like it's gonna kick on, but it's causing such an overload that we don't wanna mess the electrical system up. So, and like I told Paula yesterday, our plan right now is we took the bucket truck out, about a week and a half ago, went up and seen what we're gonna have to do to take that off. We're ultimately trying to save money by trying to do some of this stuff in-house. The siren weighs 396 pounds, so, but they're designed in a way to where we can take 6 bolts out with the bucket truck and then have another truck with a boom on it to lift it off and put it on a trailer so we can repair it. And like I told Paula yesterday, we're actively looking right now for a siren that's the same model as that. It's SDH-10.
They're very expensive.
They are, but you can find them in good used condition for a reasonable price. But if we can find one, you know, and I know we're in a time crunch about getting it back up there, but if we can find one that's reasonable, we'll go on and purchase it, install it. That way, while we're working on the other one, once we get it refurbished, we can put it somewhere else in the county.
And what I meant by that was, we hope we can fix it ourselves, so.
Yes,
it's
versus
not, I mean,
versus
if we have to buy a new one, we're gonna buy a new one, but if
Right.
we can't, you
Versus
know.
buying one, you know, a new one, because they, kind of like everything else, they've really went up in price. that's where we stand on the siren.
Okay, all right, just wanna make sure that all the magistrates were informed on
Sure,
what was.
sure.
Yeah.
On behalf of our taxpayers, I'm glad that we're getting other use of our bucket lift.
Yeah.
That's great,
Yeah,
because we needed that desperately.
bucket truck
just for,
was,
Comes in real
nice.
handy.
It was, it had a little lag in it every now and then, after you got used to it, though, it was fine.
Strap in tight.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much, I appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Bring it by the house, help me put up Christmas lights.
Yeah, well, you might lose part of your house if we do.
All right, Major Cullen?
Yeah, so try and go in order. There's trick or treating happening. I think the cities have all announced their days. Looks like they're all sticking with the traditional October 31st. But there's a lot of trunk or treats out there as well, so you know, good time to go visit some other places for their trunk or treats and fellowship a little bit. On the 4th of November, the Danville-Boyle County Humane Society is having their obedience class out at Stewart Powell. So it's at 12:30. So unfortunately, I've given up on obedience from one of my dogs, but we just accept her for who she is. But if you've
Send her
got,
out to the prison, do much for manners.
she might stay there. Anyway, and then Norton Center has a lot of great things going on right now. Throughout this season, it seems like there's just something right after the other.
Don't they have a
So-
new exhibit now out there?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then a big important one is Danville's Small Town Christmas Festival. So we got to make sure we get behind that, and they're looking for volunteers, and it's going to be a great thing for the town with the parade and everything. And I appreciate everyone that's working on that. So if you got some extra time and you want to volunteer, there's a Facebook page out there for it. So, and that is all I have right now.
Thank you very much. Magistrate Sleeper?
Okay, as fiscal court representatives to the Economic Development Authority, Judge Bob and I attended the October 16th meeting. Legal representation by Malcolm Inish at Lexington is representing, working on our bylaws and also a current Kentucky Product Development Initiative project that we're working on. That firm's focus is business and commercial matters. They have an excellent reputation in that area. The KPDI grant, which we received initially, the phase one, $744,000, something along that line. There was phase two funding, and a critical deadline was missed because the EDA was not active at that time, and so we missed on that opportunity. So it is, and we're not pointing fingers at anybody, it's just that they weren't active. So so it's imperative that the EDA remain operationally and aware and active concerning these types of fundings. Currently, there is no talk of a phase 3 funding, so it's also imperative that we, as local government officials, contact our state representatives and senators and strongly encourage that there be a phase 3 funding. So I've asked that sample letters be sent to us to help us to communicate with our Representative Elliott and Senator Bledsoe and whoever else we need to, that they be sent to us so we can kind of tailor them to personalize them and get those sent out. So as soon as I get those, I will pass those on to everybody else. Our purpose statement and goals for the EDA and actions is under development. We have an initial draft, so we're working on that. And that's all I have regarding the EDA report. Second item and final item I have is that I've accepted an invitation to be a member of the Community Advisory Board for the risk underlying for rural areas longitudinal study, which is a heart and lung cardiovascular study that is being done. And I will serve as a representative for Boyle County in that regard. They did a presentation here previously, so I won't go into details what they do, but it's funded by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and I will serve to, as a member, I'll be involved in representing Boyle County and providing and receiving information and feedback that reflects the interest of our Boyle Countyans.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate your involvement with that.
That's all I have.
Okay. Master Dillon?
Thank you, Judge. J.C. Young, the Magistrate and Commissioners Association exec, contacted me over the weekend. He has a mutual friend who works with solar at the industrial level. And he asked me if I would meet with him. We talked twice over the weekend, and the judge and I have talked briefly. We're going to meet with him sometime soon because we're on the eve of our ordinance coming before us. Related to that, we had an informal workshop on the ordinance status. Was that just last week? And we're looking forward to seeing the language that comes from that because those two things come together. Very important for us to protect our pristine highways and our historic significance in this county. And I had that conversation over the weekend with this gentleman. We're having problems with water leaks all over the county, and I'm distressed to have learned just over the weekend that one that is now in 62 days of going on in one of the subdivisions in my district, and I have film of it, and it's a 4-inch pipe, and the water is just pouring out of it. And numerous contacts have been made with the Danville Waterworks to get that addressed. I think we've shaken that loose now, and hopefully, I mean, the waste of the water is one thing. The creation of mosquito ponds and the health issues that come with that, plus the fact that people down below it have not been able to mow properly for most of the summer. So even with a drought, that area was so waterlogged. So hopefully that's going to be addressed now. Related again to water, we had one of the few drought busting storms, and I happened to be in town a week or 10 days ago, and right out here on the corner it was ponding so severely that I tried to go around it. I'd suspect that the water was 3 to 4 inches deep, which is a concern with the new construction right there at our corner. So I hope that that's going to be addressed by the Danville Water Company. Thrilled with the 2 festivals that have taken place out in my district in the last couple of weeks. Another issue is there will be a public hearing on the cell tower that is proposed for Route 68 going toward Harrodsburg, just out of the city limits of Perryville. So watch for that. I think there's very favorable opinion about it. There was one expression of concern by one of my constituents, and he urged me to do some deep research. And he was concerned that radio waves could be a cause of cancer and other illnesses. In doing that research within 2 or 3 days of his call, come to find out there's a 1996 federal guideline on that that says you cannot prohibit cell towers with respect to any health impacts. That's even supported by the American Cancer Society. And beyond that, it's supported by a statute that Julie found for me that goes in companion with the federal ordinance saying that that cannot be an issue. So if it's raised in the public hearing, that will quickly be supplanted because it just cannot be an issue in that. I was wonderfully pleased with the last meeting of the Parks and Rec Committee. Tommy Barton has inherited a tremendous staff. Mark Morgan's been doing a great job as the chair. They already have 32 major programs on the books for 2024. There are going to be a lot of teams coming in from other states, or excuse me, other communities within the state. That means our motels and hotels and restaurants are going to be the beneficiaries, as will our tax base. So they are doing tremendous things.
Ride share program.
Yeah, we'll let you get those 3 vehicles you mentioned earlier.
Can't wait.
Tommy's a fantastic guy with his background, but he inherited a lot of this that was already going on, so that companionship between the two is going to be great. I mentioned briefly iron benches for Constitution Square. I think I touched on it last meeting, but their welding teacher out there is going to work with the students on into the new year so that we can first get a prototype of the bench The judge recommended maybe a medallion of the county in the middle of the back of the bench, and then there may be others who would like to dedicate a bench like they are over in Springfield. But among those things, we're going to dress up the park with some benches and make it very comfortable there. And we'll be working with BCTC on young people who might go into the career of welding. So, Judge, I think that's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Master Ellis. Attorney Herron?
Yes, if y'all didn't know, this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And it's been Domestic Violence Awareness Month for the last, 24 days. And we're going to culminate that this evening out here, well, actually at Constitution Square Park. From 5:30 to 7 p.m. we're going to have an event. I have a flyer. Today's Purple Tuesday. I know several of us are wearing purple today, so thank you for that. But everyone knows someone who's been a victim of domestic violence, and it just isn't just happened to females, it happens to males too. And we want you to join us in support of victims and survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We will also be honoring those whose lives have been taken through domestic violence. We hope to unite the community and raise awareness of violence in Danville, Boyle County, and the surrounding areas. The color purple symbolizes courage, persistence, honor, and commitment to ending domestic violence. Together, we as a community can make a difference. So we have a keynote speaker tonight, Jamie Thomas Bright. She's a certified grief peer, is going to speak, and I'm very familiar with Jamie. Her daughter was actually murdered by her boyfriend in New York, and there was actually a big Dateline episode about this murder, and we actually watched it. So
when I was being certified to teach, Danielle was one of my students, and she was just a wonderful young lady.
Yeah, so it's a really sad story.
It's a terrible tragedy.
And tragedy, but Jamie will share that with the community night from 5:30 to 7. They're going to have snowy ice. We'll have community resources. Pop and Jay's Kettle Corn and Lemonade will be there. Greenhouse 17, Boyle County Attorney's Office in Ampersand, which is a sexual violence resource center of the Bluegrass. They're all helping to put this on. My victims advocate, Ashley Edwards, has been very involved in getting this all together. And so another good thing about my victims advocate, she had been, her salary is paid for through a grant through VOCA, Victim of Crime Act. VOCA has been reducing the amount of money that giving towards her salary and so forth each year, to the point where, it was like over the last 2 years they've cut it like $24,000. So I went to PAC, which is the Prosecutors Advisory Council, last week, and asked them make this a permanent position through PAC, and they did. So now we don't have to worry. I think I worried more than Ashley did about having a job each year, but that's like a big thing, like worrying whether or not your grant's going to be re-upped or not. So now we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's a full-time position with benefits and everything. So we're very excited about that. I think Ashley's done a great job helping so many people in our community who have been victims of domestic violence or just crime in general. So, but going back to tonight, I plan to be there. I hope you guys can try to make it out as well. I think it'll be good. And I think it's going to be really nice out tonight. So actually, I'm wearing a short sleeve purple shirt underneath my jacket because I think it's going to be warm. Yeah. So come on out. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, do you have anything? No. Okay. All right, I'll close this out. Master Cullen had asked for an update on Highway 52. I reached out to Kelly Baker, the chief engineer for District 7, and I've already told Master Cullen, but to fill you all in, the Kentucky Highway Safety Improvement Project will be let in November. It will be done in coordination with the resurfacing project, and so that will probably get started next spring. Then also, there were some questions about Highway 37. That will be paved. Flex funding will be used on Kentucky 243, but these projects will not be let out until this winter. So that work will then be done in 2024, spring to early summer 2024. They did do some strip patching along 37, so they have done, I guess, some places where it was pretty bad. And maybe, I think, the middle of the roads, maybe some strip patching.
Extremely rugged.
Yeah, it still needs to be repaved. But those are in the works, and they will be done, and we'll just have to wait for next spring. Also, there's a highway project plan for Kentucky 34 from Alum Springs Crosspike to Corporate Drive. They're in the process of getting a consultant started on the design phase of that project. So that will be coming up. On 34, on the east side of town, it was discussed about a project through Shift, and that project description was geared more toward improving existing roadway and shoulders. They don't think the traffic volumes are up to point yet to consider putting in a 4-lane. But they did sponsor it, and they had it scored, and it did not score nearly as well as the 34 project on the other side of town. So, that's pretty much the updates on transportation. If y'all have any other questions, I'll be glad to reach out to Kelly again and get an update. Okay, let's see. I know it's early to be thinking about Christmas, but Payroll and Junction will be having Christmas parades coming up. Do you know the date yet for Junction?
I don't.
Okay.
I haven't heard the date yet.
Okay. Parables will be November the 25th, I believe. It's after Thanksgiving, and the theme is Candy Cane Christmas. They're asking for anyone to be involved in the parade, to make a float or something. So if any of y'all get real creative and you want to come up with a float, I'm happy to join in. And then you'll let us know about Junction City's parade.
Yes.
Okay. Also, CVB is sponsoring Pumpkins in the Park, and that's going to start at Constitution Square on Thursday night. If you would like to paint or decorate a pumpkin, there is a registration form you can pick up at the CVB, and then you can take your pumpkin and put it on display there in the Governor's Circle. The Extension District Council meeting will be tonight at 6:30 at the Extension District. They will be selecting board members to submit to fiscal court for approval for different areas in the Extension District. I believe that's all. I would like to ask that we adjourn in memory of 2 people today. One of them being Johnny Durham.
Thank you, Joe.
And the other one being Debbie Wagner, who was a 20-year paramedic with EMS, and she is also Director Rogers' sister. And our condolences to you, Director Rogers. Thank you. All right, with that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Motion by Magistrate Cullen, second by
Second.
Magistrate Sleeper. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Y'all wanna hang out or something?
Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Need you to wake up.
Everybody waits for me to make that second, and I'm